Hello, 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 hello. We have severe storms right now. Last night I got woken up several times by extremely loud thunder and lightning very close by our house. And it was very tormenting, and it resonated 100% with the tormenting storm that's always running through my bones from childhood, the PTSD, very, very severe. But I want to talk about all of this in peace while I am netting my clay, artificial clay. I don't know I heard there's white flour in it. I don't know, but probably preservatives and so on, and colorings, but that's okay. I got that yesterday. It is an amazing stuff. This is the real, the authentic Play-Doh from the past. So very nice. And I also got myself three wobble monsters. And I made 3 necklaces out of those. I will show them all in consecutive videos. Very nice. So I want to make a clay modeling video, and I will put the camera here. So still using some daylight, showing off my necklace. Very cute. Yes, I'm gonna be wearing this also in public, maybe in the summertime, I don't know. I can also wear this over a t-shirt, but I wanted to see how this looks on my skin. This is very nice. It goes well with my skin because my skin feels almost identical to this material. Pretty cool. So yeah, I cried this morning. That's why my voice is a little bit hoarse. Awesome. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That makes me high, that smell of the original Play-Doh. Unbelievable stuff. This is an extra large amount here. This is the large container. Oh my gosh, is this nice. This is pure heaven. Oh my gosh, yes, it goes well with my necklace and with my jacket. Very awesome. Oh, it's that nice. Oh my gosh. Is this amazing? Let me put this up here. Oh, there's still the... Oh, this is also pants I made myself, by the way. Bell-bottom pants. It goes very well with the outfit. But the jacket I did not make myself. I don't have the right equipment for that. Oh, is this amazing? Oh gosh, is this heaven? Yeah, this is a little different than the generic. It is. It has the same bounce, but this is smoother yet. Smoother and squishier than the generic is. And the smell, they tried to imitate that smell, but they were not successful with it, with the generic ones. I mean, I love every generic smell, but this here, this is the ultimate. It really is the ultimate. Oh my gosh. Gosh, this is gorgeous. They didn't have this color when I was a child. This is new. You can make a face mask with this for Halloween. Oh, it smells heavenly. It's really unbelievable. Oh my gosh. So I'm glad I can share this with my friends. Amazing stuff is this. Just amazing. I always bought myself that goo material also, what's the name, that yellow type of material, what's the name again? Slime. Yeah, the slime. I've bought slime many times in different colors. I always enjoyed it very much. But with the slime, you can't create something with it. It's just to play around with it. But that's nice too, you know. It is nice. That's very relaxing and also very good for the nerves and everything. But I like to make something with the stuff. This is just phenomenal. I always paint them either way, whatever color they are originally, but I just enjoy working with the different color clays and smelling them. It's a pure pleasure. It's a complete sensory heaven. It's like a sensory blissful experience that gives pleasure to all kinds of senses. I can make a penis out of this. But that's not what I don't form things that are realistic. This looks quite phallic also. I know it does, but it is rectangular, cubic. So I haven't seen a penis in that shape. So, but it is. It has a. Sigmund Freud would say this is phallic, but it doesn't matter. What matters is the sensory experience of this. And this is the coolest here. Hello. You know, I would love to make jitter monsters with my own, you know, with my own style, with my own shapes. Can you imagine this in that material? Like wobbly like this? Oh my gosh, would that be nice? But you know, for a necklace, that this thing is already pushing it in size, so this is already quite big, but still doable. It's lightweight, you know, so still doable. But yeah, I'd like to make something like that. I love it. It's beautiful. It's cute. But I want to make it in my own characters, my own blue god in dog form. This is not finished yet. I'm still working on that. So yeah, I did Primal Scream. Actually went all the way to infancy. went all the way to right after birth. This is quite amazing. That's quite amazing. And that's also what Shri Krishnamurti is talking about. When we don't, I don't know if he has ever had a primal scream, but if we don't run away with the emotion, if we don't let it out on someone else, if we don't act it out in any way, if we don't distract ourselves or drink or take drugs or push this stuff down through a substance or any of these act outs that just make people more crazy down the line. All of these act outs, all of this, or religiousness, or praying to Jesus. No, believe me, Jesus is a primal screamer. So, an indigo will know what I'm talking about. Definitely. So, if you stay with that feeling, if you don't run away from it, and if you go into your bed, you close the door, you don't let the pets or the other animals or the children or adult humans in, if you don't let any being in, maybe you can have a spider in the room, and the spider doesn't care. So, but kick all the real sentient ones out of the room in a gentle way, nudge them out gently, say, hey, here's a cookie, and then you close the door. And then you go into your bed. Make sure someone else is there to take care of the animals and the children, okay? And possibly bring them into a room on the opposite end of the house, and then you take your pillow and you just push your face in the pillow and just let your body express the way it needs to express it. Okay. So I get triggered by my husband too often. It's happening almost every day, but I don't scream like this every day. Usually I try to calm my mind with meditation, which is good too, but sometimes that stuff wants to come up. It really does. And if I don't act it out any other way, then it will express itself in the way it wants to express itself, which means the inner child is still there with all the hurt. And the only thing that came to my mind, Paul was standing in the door while I was lying on my bed crying, and he thought I was yelling at him, but I said, no, I'm not yelling at you. He was yelling at me earlier. He always gets very worked up over things. When something doesn't work out, he gets very, very distressed and panicked, and he gets very angry, and then the attitude comes out against me. So, but, I don't want people to misunderstand this now. We love each other very deeply. We are best friends. I trust him 100%. It's just that we got issues, his panic comes out, he has some bit of an attitude towards me, always likes to also shift the blame from anything to, whoever is there, he likes to blame other people for things. Those are all act outs, and most people do it, and they happen like automatically. It's an automatic thing that happens. And the more it is unconscious, the more this takes over into that acting out direction. So, and the people who do it, they don't even notice that they did. They say, what? I wasn't yelling. You're the one yelling, So they don't see it. They don't see their reactiveness to it. So, but anyway, it always creates a huge turmoil in my brain. It brings up my past, it brings up my grandfather, brings up my mother and teachers, society, driving teachers, all kinds of persons in my life, in my past, who acted out on me, on just had an attitude towards me, and it all got compounded and compounded and compounded and just mounted itself up from one thing to another. And so all I could say is, as I was lying there crying, blowing my nose 100 times, I said that I just, every night I go to bed, I have this hell inside of me. I don't know how else to explain it. You're like an inferno, like a, and then I try to cover it up. We easily do this. We try to cover it up. We're so used to it. And I'm just one of the rare people who talk about it. You won't believe how many people have it, but they would never talk about it out of fear of social rejection, out of, particularly the religious people. They will go, oh, that must be demons. I'm going to go to my Catholic priest and let him exorcise it all, let them beat me, bruise me up, so I have to go to the ER afterwards just to get my demons out. And so, no, those are not demons, okay? Uh, Lightning is not caused by some gods, it's caused by electricity. So, no, what it is, it's pent up energy, that just accumulates, from being hurt over and over and over again. And we let people hurt us, when we are not conscious. We also let people hurt us. And we're completely unaware that they even hurt us. But I'm starting to become more and more and more aware every day. That's just my personal healing process. Just because it comes to the surface doesn't mean that I'm now declared mentally ill or whatever, have to go to the hospital. No, it means, hey, celebration, get the apple cider out. It means the stuff is coming out. It feels safe to let it out. My body feels safe enough to let it out. I feel safe with Paul to let that stuff out. I know he's not going to hurt me for screaming. It may not feel so pleasant to him, though, because then maybe his own stuff might knock on the door and say, hey, I want to come out too, but you won't let me. So, and then the ego says, no way. And the ego will say to the person who cries, no way. I don't want anything knocking on my door, or resembling something that might be there in me, because after all, it's all the same energy. It just shows itself with different faces, with different storylines, but it's all the same energy. Suffering is suffering. Suffering is the same energy. Whether it is me suffering here in the United States or someone suffering in Pakistan, with a completely different storyline, and maybe much, much harsher. Everything much harder. I can't even imagine. So, but the suffering is still, this is the same energy, it is the same exact same material, the same agony, the same suffering, the same, it's fear, it's terror, it's childhood, we suffer, we suppress, we don't want to allow it to come up. The ego doesn't want to. The ego is a psychological defense mechanism. It's not a demon. Okay. The childhood pain is not a demon. The childhood pain is pent up energy. Is suppressed stuff. That we suppress in order to protect. We don't know any better. We don't know any better other than to suppress it, or, lay something above it, to bandage it up with success, or with uh, having many boyfriends, or with looking pretty, or with whatever the ego comes up with. Becoming a movie star, will be bandaging that stuff up very well, but it will come out sooner or later again. It will come out. It usually comes out in a situation that is completely unexpected and uncalled for, and surprising and shocking and inappropriate, and so on. So that's why I say, work on it now, before it lashes itself out on an innocent person, or worse. I don't even want to say it, on any innocent existence. Horrible. So, and that's what happens in the world all the time. I said it before, the guy that, no, I don't even want to talk about it. It makes me so distressed thinking about it. When the ego becomes so stressed out, in people, that just someone looking at them, maybe with curiosity, with real genuine curiosity, or maybe even someone says, "Hey, how are you doing?" And the ego will snap. I've seen this. I've seen it. That's when the schizophrenia kicks in. When people interpret other people's intentions, other people's behavior, and they interpret intention, bad intention, they insinuate. So then it becomes pathological. That's what's pathological, is when the pent-up energy starts to make the person react to innocent interactions in a very violent and aggressive way. When a woman says something innocent and the man slaps her like this. My husband told me about this from his ex-girlfriend, who was always attracted to violent men. And that's the story she told. She would say something innocently, and the ego would take offense very fast, because the ego is constantly in this tension, in this hell. And the guy, unconscious as he is, he reacts in the only way he knows how to react, and that's with physical violence. Happens in the Middle East all the time. Happens here too. Happens in the Middle East worse. And then religion sanctions it on top of it. Religion in the Middle East sanctions violent behavior. And then people say to me, "Oh, it's not the fault of the religion." Hey, think again, Oh, religion needs to be abolished. Religion is a hugely widespread thing that prevents people from letting the emotions that want to be felt come to the surface. It suppresses it with force and violence and threat and fears, of artificially created fears, on top of the fear we have already experienced in childhood. All of this on top of it, on top of it, on top of it. No wonder people snap. No wonder there are people who go, I'm not justifying, just saying this is what's happening, This is a chain reaction of things. So I want people to think about this. Instead of taking offense, I always have haters taking terrible offense. Don't take offense to it. It's true. Deep down, everyone knows that this is the truth. truth is there, whether I say it or not, whether people believe it or not, whether anyone says it or not, whether it's suppressed, it's there. And I am so grateful for Dr. Arthur Janoff, for Primal Therapy, and for his books and for his great work. What a life-saving therapy and knowledge. Just the knowledge alone is a lifesaver. Just to read those books is a lifesaver. But that has to be practiced with caution again. I'm not telling people to go there. And the reason why I don't tell, for maybe for some people, if it's a matter of life and death. If someone is already at the very end, where the husband has already left, or they feel suicidal, maybe then it could be helpful. But don't be glued to it. Don't make that into a religion, which many people have done, because that's what people tend to do. Make things into a religion and elevate people onto a pedestal. That's a mistake. Okay, so people always tend to go into these extremes, and into extremes that are beyond rational sense. So the therapy was very beneficial for me, because I was lucky to be one of those few people who were able to see Arjanov before he retired. So from 1992 to 1994. That's when he retired, when he was no longer teaching at the center or giving sessions. So that's when his wife and the other people took that on, took the school on, and the session and the group sessions and so on. And every one of them had their terrible, terrible emotional pain. We all have it. And yeah, I saw what they were doing. They were full of ego, full of defense and all of this. And I talked about this before, about the story of Walter and Leslie, and Franz Janoff in group session, instead of being there for me, with love and everything, that she knows so well. That's what she teaches. But she had an attitude towards me, and when there's an attitude, when there is an emotional thing happening, behind that attitude, of course, every attitude has an emotional thing going on behind it. So then there's no way that therapist or person or boyfriend or girlfriend or wife or husband could be ever there for the other person, could ever be hearing the other person. So I was reading the wrong books, and I had an emergency session because I was reading the wrong book. I don't read these books anymore. Just the fact that I read like a thriller horror type of book. I forgot. I think it was from Stephen King or something. Ugh. So it's horrible, horrible stories. And she got mad at me, and she blamed me for my mental illness and the emergency session. So that is a total red bar across. It's like, that sound of no. You don't do that to any client, patient, child, pet, husband, wife. We don't want to blame the other person. We can talk through in peace what happened, why it happened. Maybe the person can find the insight herself or himself and can say, oh yeah, I read that book. Yes, I should not have read that book. While the other one is there with open arms and not judging. Or they say, yeah, I, whatever, a man would say, he beat his girlfriend. Now he realizes why and what's going on and comes to realization, and he realizes that there's no way he can possibly act like this ever again. And now he realizes, but only through a compassionate friend or therapist, not judging. You cannot judge. I know from these stories like Joan of Arc, for example, these, I don't know what she was, some kind of, I think it was the Catholic, Catholic Roman Empire religion, and she found her own religion. Actually, she heard voices, and I think she perceived something, but then she interpreted that into a specific way, into a way of the only way she was able to interpret it in that mental state she was in. But she went to this Catholic preacher, and they had these confession rooms, and she would sit there and she would confess all of these thoughts and the voices that talked to her to that preacher, and the preacher, that was the only therapy they had at that time, was this confession room. And it was running under religion, it was running under the Christian religion or Catholic, whatever, it was at that time. And they didn't have any alternatives available. But then there were people within these kind of institutions. Sometimes there were people in there that were kind, so that would be helping in spite of that religion. So, if she has a kind preacher, just as if she had a kind therapist, whether the therapist is an atheist, agnostic, or religious, or whatever, or panpsychist, if that person is kind, then the person is there. It is completely beyond, it has nothing to do with the worldview. What matters is the kindness, the compassion. And she had this kind preacher who was listening to her, and he was taking that very seriously, the confidentiality, and he wasn't telling other people, because if he had, they would have already executed her. They would have accused her of heresy and of paganism or whatever, witchcraft, because she heard voices that were not heard before or not discussed in that particular religion. So that was a good preacher. He really loved her, cared about her. He wanted to really help her. Fantastic. Happened too. Most people don't do it, so most people are so busy with themselves and so afraid of what other people think that they'll go through any lengths to hurt someone else to get their own praise from society. It was the case in the past. It was the case around 1400 when Joan of Arc was alive. And it is the case today with people who will hold the other cheek just to be liked by society. When it comes to where we actually should speak out against a religion that is sanctioning violence. But people will not speak out because they put social respect above that honesty, above that truth, above protecting others. So that's all of these things are constantly going through my mind. I need to talk about it. I think it's very important. It's very important that we address this, that we talk about this. Very, very important. And when I was crying earlier, I felt like this volcano, this hell, as I called it. This inferno, or this childhood pain, which that is what it is. It's a childhood pain. We shouldn't be suppressing it and beating it out of someone, or beating it down, or drowning it with substances. No, it wants to be heard. It wants to come out. It has something to say. The energy wants to come out. It doesn't want to be in a pressure cooker. It doesn't want to be suppressed. It wants to shoot out and up and into the sun, where it's being recycled into love, into wisdom, into knowledge. When we allow our bodies to feel what it wants to feel in that moment, all the truth comes out, all the facts, all the real things come out, the real fears, the real dislikes or likes. That's where it wants to go. It doesn't want to be suppressed. It feels good to say, hey, I realize it. I have an inferno inside of me. And that is why when I go to bed at night and I listen to Jiddu Krishnamurti or meditation or Vipassana or Caroline's videos, that are there to calm me down, and when my brain is too close to that pain, then I will not be able to be calmed down by these videos. Then the pain is just pounding on the door. It says, let me out. Don't suppress me. Don't tell me I'm happy when I'm not. So, and we all have it. Almost all of us have it. Some have it really severe. I feel terribly sorry for those people. Really. Yeah. Those are the ones who they will snap, and they will demonize some other person, maybe an innocent person even, or even an animal, and that is the worst thing. That's the absolute worst thing. That is the worst thing, to demonize an animal or nature or whales, or demonize them for whatever reason, for religious bullshit, telling people, or it's the corporate agenda making up lies so that they can go ahead and exterminate an entire species for their own profits, and people will buy into it. It's all of these things happening. All of this is happening. The more we become aware of it, the more we can protect this planet and the beings, all the different species. Humans are it's just one species out of, I don't know how many species of existences are on this planet. So many, I don't know, it's in the billions. And many of them sentient, just like us. Many of them. Dogs, dolphins, whales, elephants, giraffes, even octopus. There are octopus species that are very, very evolved. They just evolved. They evolved simultaneously on a parallel lineage, completely parallel lineage. They're very different to us, but just equally sentient. So it could be an ET out there, equally sentient to us. it's probably not the case, but it could be. If you go far enough, you will eventually come across one. Yeah. The cosmos is infinite, so there will be a sentient being like us or more evolved. The blue whales and the microcephalus are more evolved than humans. Okay. And some other whale species. It's possible that some octopus are more evolved than humans. So they seem to be incredibly quick-witted. It's true. It's amazing. They change color. When they get angry, they get red. I mean, this is very similar to us too. Very similar. They have same feelings. When they get mad by a fisherman, puts them on their boat deck, they get really distressed over this. They look them in the eye, and there's an accusation actually happening. There's a recognition happening. That fisherman did that to me, and they will get mad at that fisherman, and then the fisherman laugh because they're bullies, because they don't know how else to cope with any of these things. They don't have respect, most of them. There's always some kind fisherman once in a while. And my message to all fishermen, but particularly to the kind ones, is, if you're kind, if you see that there are sentient beings being caught in those real large, I don't know what's it called again, these real large fishing nets. When they see their dolphin babies caught in there, when you see this, you gotta quit that job. Quit it. Leave it now. Okay? That's my message to you. Don't eat fish anymore. Don't eat any more seafood. Don't eat any more animal products. That's my message. If we want to live a kind life, if we want to make the world a better place, where no one has to suffer anymore, and my message to the mean fisherman is it's the same. Quit your job. Do the Vipassana meditation for all the mean people out there, fishermen or other, or loggers or whatever they are. People that test on animals. Do the Vipassana meditation. That's my message to you all. Find out what it means to love another living being. You will not regret it once you get there. It's a completely different life. To live your life in love is a very high quality life. To live your life in how can I screw someone over is a very poor quality life. That's a fact. It's a truth. This feels real good to work with this therapeutically. Right now I'm not making anything with this, but eventually I will. I just wanted to show it, and I just wanted to feel it and smell it and show it and inspire with it. I want to make the world a better place. That's my mission in my life. It always sounds a little bit big, it sounds like self-aggrandized, it sounds like grandiose paranoia or whatever, it sounds like grandstanding. but it just is what it is. This is what it is. That's what I want. I want to make the world a better place because I suffer. I suffer. I suffer with the other beings. It's the same energy, the same suffering. I can also feel it. I'm so tuned into this. I feel the suffering of other living beings. I feel it in a remote way. I feel it. I can feel the suffering of the whole world. I feel infinite suffering. My own suffering is the same suffering as the cows and pigs being slaughtered and in terror. It's the same pain, same suffering, just a different story. So I feel for all of them. I feel with all of them. That's what compassion means. In German, the word is Mitleid. Mit means with, and Leid means suffering, means agony. I suffer with them. So the German word is actually even more detailed on this emotion than the word compassion, because calm together with passion is not only suffering. Passion could also be in a positive thing. So I can feel compassion with someone who's enjoying good food or enjoying happiness. But it usually means that what it means in German, it means I feel with them, I feel their pain. So, and that's what I do. I'm not the only one. There are many people who are much better than I am. There are people who are risking their lives every day on the Sea Shepherd boats. There are people who go into slaughter facilities, who film undercover. There are people who put their life right out there. They give themselves, they give their bodies to rescue other living beings. Those are angel souls and God souls and Buddha souls. I'm not as evolved. I'm an indigo, I'm an artist. I am where I am. I am going through agony. I'm going through deep learning processes. I'm still coward. I'm still afraid, hiding. I'm still not courageous like they are. Okay, courageous enough to make these videos against the odds of being shy and being awkward and being socially